Do you guys see it? We're live. Hello.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi, everybody. We are here. I'm amazed that this is happening right now. Welcome, everybody. I am just going to talk here a little bit. We're going to give some people a few minutes. Hopefully you can join us here and listen to our first travel talk series. Today we're going to be talking about the Spring Fling in the South, April 11th through the 21st, 2021 with Deb Harkness. If you haven't traveled with Deb before, you're missing out. Deb does, she actually plans and she hosts most of our motor coach group tours that we have with Northland Travel. Lots of experience, many places you've been, and we're looking forward to hearing from you today. I'm on my second cup of coffee. Hopefully the rest of you can join us with some coffee, sit down, and take a moment just to hear about this trip. A few things I do want to mention. I know I am certainly not a familiar face to you. My name is Rachel, and I do a lot of the behind-the-scenes work here. So if you're like, I don't know you, I think I'm in the wrong spot, you are not. You've got Rhonda, a very familiar face, and Deb, of course, too. So I am going to disappear here now for a few minutes, but I will be manning the comments and the questions kind of behind the scenes. So of course, we would love for this to be as interactive as possible. If you want to just comment on Facebook, just in this post, you can comment, hi, you can wave at us. If you have any questions or comments as we go along, I'll come back after Deb's all finished and we'll go over some of those questions and comments then. So for now, I'm going to say bye and turn it over to the experts.
Okay, Rhonda.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first Travel Talk series. We are really excited to talk travel again. We've missed it this past year. We've done a lot of rebookings from our 2020 tours to 2021. So we have a great list of tours that are upcoming for next year for you. And we thought we would take the time to go live with you, bring the tour guide on to explain each of these tours. Deb's going to start our series today and talk about the Spring Fling tour in April. And I will go ahead and turn it over to her, and then I'll help with questions at the end.
Okay, thanks, Rhonda. Hey, it's good to see all of you folks. I have missed all of you so much over the course of the last year, and just all of us are huddled down here at home trying to stay safe, and we know that's the best, but boy, we can't, I'm sure none of you, all of you are like me, you can't wait to be over with this thing. And like Rhonda said, we've got lots of good trips planned for next year. I have switched almost all of I took all of my tours from 2020 and moved them into 2021. So we'll be talking about these individually over the course of the next couple months here. And today, like they said, Spring Fling in the South. This will be April 11th to the 21st of 2021. It is an 11-day trip. We will highlight places like New Orleans. We're going to spend a couple days there. We're going to go into middle Louisiana, into the Cajun country, and do some fun things there. And then also take in the Gulf Coast down south in the Mississippi area. So a little bit of everything for everybody, and I think you'll all enjoy it. On day one, I'm going to take just a few minutes here and go through a little more details of what this trip consists of. On day one, we will be picking you up in your home ports, your home locations, wherever that pickup point is, and we will be traveling down to Joplin, Missouri on the first night, and we'll stay there. And then on day two, we will leave Joplin and continue our traveling south, and we'll go down into Arkansas, and we'll stop in Bentonville, Arkansas, and spend a couple of hours there. I've got a fun stop planned for you. I like to throw in a couple surprises usually on these trips, and this is one of them. And I think it's just a lighthearted, fun stop. I think everybody will enjoy it. And then after we leave Arkansas, we're going to travel down into Louisiana. And our second night out will be in Shreveport, Louisiana, where we'll be overnighting that night. That takes us into day 3. And on day 3, we will continue traveling south, and we're going to get down to the Cheneyville, Louisiana area. It's kind of in northern Louisiana. And we will be stopping at the Lloyd Hall Plantation there. This is a really neat thing. This was a former sugarcane plantation at one time, and it's in a beautiful setting out in the rural country there. Beautiful, beautiful. They've restored this plantation just great. They have several old oak trees that sit on the plantation there that are just beautiful, many years old, with lots of Spanish moss hanging off of them, and it's just really a pretty sight. And we'll have a guided tour of the plantation there by Miss Beulah. She's a fantastic lady. She's been there. Matter of fact, she was born and raised on the plantation, so she has many stories to be able to tell all of you folks about things that have been happening over the course of the years there, and it's just a fun time to listen to her. We'll leave the plantation, and after we have lunch there, we will leave the plantation and travel further south, getting down into the middle Louisiana, where we'll be getting into the bayou country, down into Cajun country and all the neat bayous. And one of the first things we'll do that afternoon when we get down there then is that we're going to take a swamp boat tour. This is, we'll get into these smaller little flat bottom boats, and they'll take us back into the bayou country where you'll get back into the old cypress trees and see all the cypress knobs and all that fun stuff. But then what a really neat thing is that there's so many alligators back in there. And you'll get to see lots of alligators, and some of them are just huge that sun themselves out on the bayou banks there. So I think you'll really enjoy that. And then after we leave there, then we'll go on into Lafayette, Louisiana, and that's where we'll stay that night. And this is still the heart of Cajun country. So then the next morning, which gets us into day 4, we will start off by going out and visiting a crawfish and rice farm. And there you'll have a guided tour, and the gentleman that owns the farm will do all the explaining how they can have a field where they raise crawfish and rice both at the same time. And he'll explain all that. And he'll show how they net the crawfish and catch them. And then we will go over a few miles down the road to a harvesting plant, and you'll get to see how they harvest the crawfish. So this, again, is a good thing to see, a fun thing to see. After we leave there, we're going to go over to the Gator Chateau, and this is a sanctuary where they rescue small and medium-sized alligators and bring them in, and if they've been if they're ill or if they've been injured, they bring them back to life and get them going again and then turn them back out into the wild again. But you'll learn all about that. And then, still staying right there in the middle of Cajun country, we will then, and this is a really fun stop, we're going to go over to Martin Accordion in near Lafayette there. And this gentleman has, over the course of the years, just in his little backyard garage, he has put together this little assembly plant. Him and his family build, if you're familiar with Cajun music at all, you've seen these little box accordions that these folks play. Well, he builds these from scratch. And so he gives us a little idea and shows us how they go about manufacturing these. And he'll show us all that. And then the fun part about all this is that him and his family are all very musically inclined. And so then they'll give us a little, probably about an hour performance of some real good toe tapping, hand clapping Cajun music. And it's just a fun thing to see and do. We'll then leave the Lafayette area, and we're going to travel down to Baton Rouge, and we will be staying overnight in Baton Rouge that night. And then that gets us into day 5, and we'll leave Baton Rouge that morning, and we're going to travel down to New Orleans, and we're going to spend the next couple days in New Orleans. And the first thing that we're going to do once we get there, we'll be met by a step-on guide. Again, this lady was born and raised right there in New Orleans, so she's got lots of stories to tell and lots of things to show you folks that I think you'll really enjoy. Some of the highlights of the trip, we're going to be going through the Garden District, and we'll be driving by a lot of really neat mansions down there, plantations and mansions that are pretty cool to see. And then another one of the fun things that we'll be doing is, I'm kind of a cemetery buff. I love to go visit old historic cemeteries and hear the stories. And we will visit the city cemetery, one of the city cemeteries there in New Orleans. And with South Louisiana having such a high water table down there, they aren't able to bury anybody underground. All their cemeteries are above ground cemeteries. So you'll learn just how they go about that. And it's really kind of cool to see that. Then after we, the step-on guide gets through with this, why then we will take you down into the French Quarter, and we'll let you have some free time that afternoon in the French Quarter. You can walk down through and see all the neat Cajun things there. You'll get a chance at eating some real good Cajun food. They've got many, many restaurants down there in the Cajun, or down there in the French Quarter. You'll get to take in that and decide what you want for lunch. And then another fun thing down there in the French Quarter is that they have the French Market. And that is an outdoor open air market. And there's lots of trinkets and lots of souvenirs in there that you can see and look at and buy. And they've also got some good food stands set up inside there. Also down in the French Quarter, there's a couple historic churches that sit around the outside perimeter of the French Quarter that you're free to walk in and look at. And that's another neat thing to see. After we get done, then we'll be staying, that's the end of day 5. We'll be staying in New Orleans that night. And then the next morning, we'll continue our fun in New Orleans. And we're going to start out that morning by visiting the World War II Museum there in town. I'm personally myself not a big museum buff, so I don't put a whole lot of museums into my tours. But this is a very unique museum. They have put this together. It's not that many years old that it's been there. And they have put this museum together in just a fantastic way. And it's really, really neat to see it. And I think you'll really, even if you're not a big museum fan, I think you'll enjoy this a lot. After we get done there at the museum, then we're going to go down on the waterfront, and we're going to have a luncheon cruise above the steamboat Natchez riverboat. And we'll go up and down the harbor and, like I said, have a nice lunch on there. And again, this will be a narrated cruise. And so you'll learn more about, the city of New Orleans and the trade industry there. And in addition to that, while we're cruising, they'll be playing some good live jazz music also that's pertinent to the area. So I think you'll enjoy that. We then that afternoon leave New Orleans, and we'll travel up the Gulf Coast over into Mississippi, and we'll be staying that next night then in Gulfport, Mississippi, where our hotel is right on the waterfront there. So it's on the beach. They have beautiful, beautiful white sandy beaches there in the Gulfport area. So I think you'll enjoy that and get a chance to get out there and get your toes in the nice warm sand. That's the end of day 6. And then day 7, we will leave Gulfport, Mississippi, and we'll travel just a few miles down the road to Biloxi, Mississippi. And there, first thing that morning, then we will take a shrimp boat tour. And on this shrimp boat, then the man that takes care of this will show you how they go about netting and fishing for shrimp and catch them, and then also how they harvest them as well. And then after we get back from that, we'll have lunch right there on the waterfront, right near where we got off the boat. And it's, again, got big, beautiful windows out where you can see everything that's happening out on the waterfront. Then after lunch, we will have a step-on guide that will come on again and she will take us around the Biloxi, Mississippi area. I try and get step-on guides in some of these places as often as I can. I try and do the best to fill in from point A to point B what's out there and what you're seeing, but I cannot be an expert on all of these cities that we go to and all these areas that we go to. And there's so much history and so many neat things there to see that I like to be able to get step-on guides whenever I can. So I, in this case, again, have picked up another step-on guide. She too, born and raised there in the Biloxi area. And so you'll get a chance to learn all about what's going on there. One of the neat things that I like about this tour is that back, and I'm sure most of you remember this, back in 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit this area, and that's when it wiped out New Orleans and the Biloxi area and this whole area. And what they done then later is that they created this Hurricane Katrina Memorial. And it's a super neat thing. They've taken a lot of the artifacts, or some of the artifacts from that were left over after the hurricane, and have brought them in and just put them together in this really, really neat memorial. It's one of those places that, you know, really gets you in the heart. So I think you'll enjoy that. Then we'll leave the Biloxi, Mississippi area, and we'll head up to Meridian, Mississippi, and we'll stay overnight in Meridian that night. Then the next day, which takes us into day 8, we will leave Meridian and we'll go up to Birmingham. And once again, we'll be met there by another step-on guide. And he too is a Birmingham native, been there all of his life, and does an excellent job at showing us around the city of Birmingham. Birmingham, as everybody knows, back in the 50s and 60s and 70s had, you know, a lot of awful things going on down there in that area. And so he can tell us quite a few stories on some of the happenings that went on there. So it's really interesting. And then after that, for any of you NASCAR fans, which Jim and I are big NASCAR fans, we're going to go out to Talladega Raceway. This is one of the super speedways on the NASCAR circuit. And we will get a chance to tour that. And if the weather's cooperating and everything else is cooperating, we're going to get a chance to do a lap around the track right out there at the raceway. So lots of folks always enjoy that. And we'll visit Victory Lane as well. And so I think you'll enjoy that. And then after we leave there, we will travel back to Birmingham and stay overnight in Birmingham. That takes us into day 9. And we will leave Birmingham that next morning, and we will travel up to Tuscumbia, Alabama, which is the home of Helen Keller. This is where she was born and raised. And again, we will have a tour there, and you'll get to see, as we do the tour, you'll get to see not only the home, but several of her mementos that she collected over the years, of all of her years of travel, books and gifts and all that she collected. And they've put them in this museum, and it's just a little museum, but it's really interesting. And then we leave there and we will travel over up to Tupelo, Mississippi. And any Elvis Presley fans know that Tupelo is where Elvis was born and raised. So they brought his boyhood home in from where it sat out in the country into this nice little park right in Tupelo. And they've set it there. So you'll get to see that. They've also brought in the church that him and his family went to when they were there in Tupelo. You'll get to see that. And then they, of course, have a real nice visitor center there, which has lots of souvenirs and all that you can pick up some Elvis mementos if you want. So that'll be fun for everybody, I hope. Then we will then leave Tupelo and head up to Memphis, Tennessee. And Memphis then will be our overnight stop that night. That gets us into day 10. And then starting out in Memphis that morning, we'll stay there for a good share of the day. We will have another step-on guided tour of Memphis. But this step-on guided tour is totally different than any other normal step-on guided tour. I don't want to give all of the surprises and the fun away on this trip. But matter of fact, there's 2 folks that come on and do this tour. But it's just a fun, they really get all the folks on the bus interacting with them. And so it's just a fun, different kind of tour. But I think it's one. It's a real popular thing. I've done it several times on some of my trips, and people really seem to enjoy it. So I think you too will enjoy it. We then, after we finished that tour that morning, then we will take you down on Beale Street, and we will let you spend a couple, 2-3 hours right down there on Beale Street. That's, of course, home of the blues. You'll get a chance to get lunch on your own there, which, as you know, they've got lots of good barbecue down there, and you'll get a chance to have lunch there, and then plus time to just wander the street, Beale Street down there, and find yourself some good souvenirs and mementos from down there. We'll leave Memphis that mid-afternoon then, and we will continue our travels north back towards home, getting us into Fairview Heights, Illinois, that last night out. And then the next morning, which is day 11, we will travel on back home and get you back home to your home pickup points. And that's the end of the trip. So with that all being said, I think that I pretty well covered hopefully everything. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you let us know and chime in here, and we'll be more than willing to try and answer them. I did want to go over the pricing just a little bit here for this trip. For double occupancy, it is $19.99 per person. It is $26.74 for single occupancy, and it is $18.24 for triple or quad, and these are all per person. Due to this COVID thing and not being able to travel at all through 2020, we have extended our early booking discount for this trip. So you will have until December 1st of this year, December 1st of 2020. If you sign up for this trip before then, you will get an extra $75 taken off of this trip, of the original price. But we've also got another special for those of you folks that are tuning in here in our Travel Talk show, that we are going to be offering for a limited time an additional $25 off. So in other words, what this says is that you will get $100 off per person on this trip if you sign up between now and December 1st. So I think that's a really good deal, and I hope some of you folks will take advantage of this. Back to this trip a little bit. I did want to talk over just a couple other little incidental things here. The activity level for this trip, I would classify it as moderately active. In other words, being able to walk a few blocks is definitely a good thing. I'm not talking hills and all that kind of thing, but just being able to walk. We'll spend some time walking in New Orleans, when you got time down in the French Quarter, and then of course in Memphis. And so if you can walk a few blocks, that's perfect. I mean, we don't ask much more of that. We always offer on all of our tours travel insurance. And so if you want more information on that, please call Rhonda at the home office, and she will be more than willing to talk to you on that. And speaking of calling the home office, as you see scrolling along the bottom of your screen there, you should see our home office phone number, which is 877-694-8687. Again, 877-694-8687. And Rhonda will be able to answer your questions there. And if she can't, she gets in touch with us, and then one of us will get back to you. Another thing we like to talk about on these trips is that we here at Northland Travel have no hidden fees. Everything that you're getting is upfront, or that you have to pay for on your own, is always explained to you well in advance. And one thing I wanted to put our information sheet up here in front for those of you that aren't familiar with our information sheets, and if you don't have them, why, contact either Rhonda or myself, and we'd be more than happy to get them to you. But if you notice here, I'm going to put this in front of the camera. If you notice here, like on day 6, yeah, that's what that says. There's a B and an L at the very end. And what that stands for is that means that breakfast and lunch is included in on that particular day. Breakfast is on our motor coach trips. Breakfast is almost always or is always included in on the package deal, and sometimes lunch and sometimes dinner. It just varies. But anyway, that tells you then in advance that what meals of each day are included in on the package price. Also, what's first and foremost on all of our minds right now, of course, is this COVID, and that's a big thing right now. And we just want to let you know that we at Northland Travel and with Aero Motor Coach Stage Lines, who we have partnered with, and they do all of our motor coaching for us. We follow all the COVID procedures that CDC and WHO at the time of these trips, what they're recommending. We do follow their guidelines and follow them very strictly. We just wait to see what at the time is appropriate. I mean, starting out here in April with this one, I'm guessing highly that face masks will still be strongly recommended. And we will, of course, then ask you to wear them if they're still saying that we need to. Social distancing on all of our trips for the immediate future until further notice. We on our buses are going at 50% capacity, which means most of our tours will be limited to 20 to 25 people maximum. This will allow then for us to do social distancing on the bus. In other words, being able to keep a seat in between you and the person in front of you. And while I'm talking a little bit about this seating on the bus, I did want to also mention that due to this social distancing that we're going to need to be doing, when you folks get on the bus, I'll have seats roped off, that every other seat roped off. But you'll be able to choose then which seat you would like to sit in, and then you will be sitting in that same seat the whole entire trip. If you've traveled with me before, you know that I normally like to rotate seats on the bus so that everybody has equal chance at sitting in some good seats. But under the current situation with what it is, to help keep everybody safe, we will keep you in your same spot, but you will have the choice, upon getting on the bus where you would like to sit. So that should be an okay thing. And it should also keep everybody super safe. So we hope that there won't be any problems. Again, lightly speaking about Aero Motor Coach, they, as you know, if you've traveled with us in the past, are very up-to-date, modern motor coaches. And they do a very good job. Not only the drivers are super and have excellent histories of driving and have spent many miles on the road, but and they're very friendly with all of you folks. But they do also thrive on keeping the buses very clean. And in addition, now since COVID has hit, they do disinfect their buses every night after everybody gets off. They're disinfected and cleaned thoroughly, so to help protect everybody. If you would like an information sheet of any sort sent to you on this particular trip, again, please contact Rhonda, and she would be more than willing to do that. And with that being said, I think I'll turn it back over to you gals. And again, thanks guys for watching.
Yeah, thanks Deb. So I'm just kind of looking here. We have kind of a quiet, shy group today. I don't think we have any questions, but we do have just a couple comments I wanted to make sure to share with you, Deb. Carol Ann.
Okay.
She says she's looking forward to traveling with you. And Merlia mentioned too how much she loves the World War II museum also.
Okay,
so
good.
Just wanted to make sure to point those two comments out too. So
yes, and Carol, we will be looking forward to you and your husband joining us on this trip. It should be a fun one. I know it's one that you folks have been looking forward to for a long time. So we'll look forward to having you guys on board.
Yes. So again, this trip that we just discussed today is the Spring Fling in the South, April 11th through the 21st, 2021. If you want to contact Rhonda, or if you're familiar with Deb and you want to reach out with questions, I'm sure both would be completely willing to answer any questions that may come up at a later time. I do just want to mention that we plan to do Travel Talk this series to continue. Our next one, I believe, is December 2nd. Correct me if I'm wrong here real quick. And that one is going to be the Cherry Blossom trip in Washington, D.C., if I am correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Real quick here, Carol, and I'm not sure if you know this off the top of your head. Carol's wondering how many might be signed up for the trip right now.
I looked yesterday and there was 6.
Okay.
6 people so far.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
And if anybody's hesitant with the current COVID situation, please know that if you want to get the savings, go ahead and give me a call. We can collect your deposit by December 1st. The final payment on this tour isn't until February 26th, and it's penalty-free cancellation up to that point. So you have that peace of mind up until the final payment date. But since we're going with lower capacities, we encourage you to sign up earlier. That's why we offer the savings. And if it's a destination you really want to get to, definitely don't hesitate to call us and get your reservation in with your deposit. We will always stay updated with the destinations that we're going to as time continues. Because our number one priority in travel is to make sure that we keep you all safe. So,
okay.
Well, awesome. I'm not seeing any more questions or comments pop up here, so I think we can wrap this first one up, and we can call it a win. There were no technical difficulties. There were no issues. Yay!
All right.
Awesome.
So we will hopefully plan to see you next time on December 2nd. And thanks for viewing today.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks.
you guys.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye. Stay safe.